Hello everybody, welcome to Alpha X Apprentice. Today we're gonna have the semifinals and the finals. We finally arrived at the end of this wonderful tournament. We're finally going to have our last couple matches to see who's gonna be the winner of this tournament we've had so far. So we've gone after a little bit of a hiatus. Like, we didn't play for, I think it was almost a month, maybe actually a little bit more, because of course, of the quarantine situation. Many players were not in the spot in which they could actually play their games, and we actually also had a forfeit for this reason. Sadly, June wasn't able to play semifinals match in the Codex playoffs against Aerofire. So we already have one of our finalists. So Aerofire is going to be our first finalist for Codex playoffs. Of course, this wasn't really something that we expected to see. Of course, we didn't have much of a choice but to give Aerofire a walkover over his opponent, since he couldn't actually play. But in the end, it's not like the young French player didn't deserve this. He still had, I think, what was a 6-0 run in his in the group stage. So you can check the bracket by typing !mark bracket or B in the chat to check it. This tournament is run, of course. But yeah, in the end, he actually deserved it. But we're here to actually see the other of today's semifinals. It's going to be, as I said, Exo Striker versus Firefox, some PvZ action, as you can also read in the title. And yeah, of course, so we already have one Protoss in the finals. It is either going to be a Zerg or a Protoss, and it could even be ZVP, but France versus France. Aerofire is French, so is Firefox, while Exo Striker is actually Russian. Both Exo Striker and Aerofire actually won their group stages by placing first, and they're actually the two youngest players in all Alpha X. I think Aerofire is actually 14 right now and Exo Striker is 16 or something to the likes of it. So I will be extremely excited to see any of those two players advancing to the finals. If it's going to be Exo Striker, it's going to be the two youngers fighting for the throne, while if it's going to be Firefox, we're instead going to see France versus France, which is also going to be very much interesting. So our first map for today, semifinals, is going to be Simulacrum. And well, I'm excited. Let's see what those two guys will bring to the table today. Here, let me change the title real quick to add the bracket commands and all of that. Well, we're here. Game 1 of this best of 5 semifinals. Spawning in the top left hand corner, you're looking at the base of the yellow Protoss player. It is the Russian Exo Striker. And in the bottom right hand corner, spawning as the blue Zerg, his second name is Aggression, and his first one is Firefox. Taking a natural right now, not something you usually see out of Firefox games, especially in this matchup. I'm excited to see some very aggressive playstyle from both sides. So if you're a StarCraft 2 fan, you probably know that StarCraft 2 is played quite differently in different regions. And well, Europe is a pretty big region, right? And the skill level is also very high. And one part of this region that plays a very odd StarCraft 2 is indeed Russia. Especially Protoss, we see some very unique style of gameplay. I even call it something like the Russian school of StarCraft 2. And well, Striker is one of the guys who actually introduced a bit of a different way to play StarCraft 2. Disruptor drops with Warp Prism speed is one of his standard plays, as well as some very early Zealot timing attacks. So we're going to see what is going to be the play coming out of the Protoss player. Of course, taking a hold of the fur base, checking for when it is going to be up. Of course, he cannot fight those Zerlings. He's still going to make a run for it. Meanwhile, Stargate Opener, actually, from Striker, a little bit of a standard play, a more standard play compared to what he usually does, at least. Oops. But nonetheless, a very powerful play, especially against aggression. And Firefox is making a ton of links. He's taking a lot of gas. This doesn't fare extremely well for the Protoss player, who instantly GG's out of the game. I think he actually scouted the Baneling bust coming, or maybe some links went through his wall, I didn't check it. But yeah, it was game 1. And talk about build order victory, Firefox aggression did it again. Like, Striker was like, nah, I'm not even doing this. And he didn't even bother. So he's now going to try to turn this series here on Everdream. The players are ready. We were already getting in game number 2. And I'm excited. This first game was a little bit not what I was expecting. Of course, this series is far from over, and I expect to see something a little bit better coming from this game number 2. Spawning in a bottom left hand corner here on Everdream, we have our yellow Protoss player, young and Russian. He is Striker. And in the top right hand corner, we were talking about aggression. He didn't disappoint. He's in blue. He's Zerg. He's French. And he is Firefox. Oops. Messed it up a little bit. So, yeah. Didn't disappoint at all. 12 pool coming out of Firefox. And Striker is going again for just a Gateway Scout, which is usually the good play, but against Firefox it can be quite messy because you usually have to deal with this Ling aggression coming out in the early game, which is coming also right now. Only now Firefox actually is not expanding, he's blocking the wall off, he's committed to a full-on Zergling rush, taking also a guess right now. His 790 score will be done. Striker still gonna commit a lot of probes into the making of this archery. He really doesn't want this to be up. Some links are already streaming through the map, and well, I guess our Protoss player is in a little bit of danger. Of course, this archery will not go down. The links will not go up, I meant. It's going to be a cancel. Yes, it is. The links can now go through. They actually decide to fight a little bit of a surround on top of the probes and the Zealot. The Zealot will go down. It's just probes against links, and more links are streaming through the map. Not even link speed has started. These Zealots once again in the open will go down. It's going to be 2-0 for Firefox. Striker didn't really expect this at all. Firefox currently a match point. And well, What have we here? This was not what I was looking forward to, but it is indeed something very interesting and exciting. It looks like Striker is not faring well in this best of 5. Firefox 2 all leading the series, 1 point away from finals in what has been a, I think it was like 5 minutes overall series. So I'm not expecting Striker to stay pinned in his base this game. I want to see him go full on aggro on his opponent, and yeah, I think this is going to be the name of this game. Who's going to get that aggression first? And let's see if it's going to be the guy here in the top left hand corner. He's spawning as the yellow Protoss, and he is one loss away from defeat in this best of 5 series. It is Striker. In the bottom right hand corner instead, this is the Blue Zerg. Hailing from France, currently a match point, it is Firefox. So this could be the next level metagame right here. Firefox is going to take his natural. It looks like he's playing fairly standard right here, also getting to 16 drones. He could commit into gas a little bit more before actually saturating everything. Going to go for a 16-16-16 arch gas pool. Not really going to commit into gas as well. Yeah, of course he's going to get gas, but he's also going to make more drones. So what is the striker plan right here? Going for the standard, it looks like Nexus before Cybernetics Core is not scared, and why should he be? Of course the first 2 games were going quite weirdly, but over here we see a Natch gas pool opener. Of course an experienced player such as Striker can easily recognize this, and he will, of course, just go for the standard micro opener. Firefox also putting drones off gas to send them in the natural. It is still going to be 8 links coming from Firefox. He's missing 1 queen over here in the natural. He's probably going to stop. Wait, what? 10 links? He's not going to make a second queen at all, because he's just committing into more Zerglings, and he's also sending them in a little bit of a hidden pattern over here, and he's just making more links. This is the ultimate 200 IQ move. The Adept will not intercept them at all. Also a third archery over here coming from Firefox to pull the attention of his opponent away. Of course that archery will surely be cancelled over here. This Adept will catch 2 links moving through the map. He will not catch anymore. He will catch these 4 actually, but Firefox is already pretty committed. He's going to get this run around this Stalker. The links are already in the base of the Protoss player. Of course, probes need to be pulled in. The links are fighting a choke point. They can do this versus Zerglings, and this is already a disaster for Striker. Firefox prepared this series perfectly. 3-0 his opponent in 9 minutes. Firefox is in the finals, and what a scary series this was. Oh my god. Arrowfire is also in the game. I think Arrowfire was in the game from start to finish. The time that this series took was not as long as one single ladder game out of the other finalists. So yeah, like there was this joke during group stage in which I often said that Firefox was trying to speedrun Alpha X Apprentice, and well, he did speedrun Alpha X Apprentice. He's now in the finals, and he has the chance to make this the shortest semifinals into final stream that ever was in StarCraft 2 history, because right now He defeated a Protoss player in 9 minutes, and Exo Striker didn't lose a single best of 5 series this far. He didn't lose one, he won them all. This was his first loss, and he came 3-0 in 9 minutes. That was a sight to behold. I mean, I don't even know how to tell Arrowfire that he has to play the finals right now. He probably isn't even halfway through preparation, but he has to play nonetheless. So let me change the title real quick before getting into these finals. Well, I mean, I'm going to tell him. Oh well. I mean, Exit Striker must not be really happy about this. But I mean, what can you say? Like, this was such a clever preparation, and I don't even know what to say. Like, Firefox is so scary as a player. Like, this last game, it was like, oh, okay, finally my opponent is going for a standard opener. Finally, he's going Achika's pool, and then just a lot of lanes sneak through the map, and the game is over. Like, Protoss is such a weak race in the early game. It's so exploitable by Azure players, especially with their strong production against the race that really has a hard time setting up a strong production in the early game. That's why Wolof is so important. That's why, for example, Blink is so important against Terran to gain value over time. And that's why in PvP you just completely forfeit a natural most of the time just to get more production instantly. You get your Cybercore after the second gateway just to have more production. And you don't even have to use that production as long as it is there to help you when you need it. And in ZVP, this is just not possible. Your units are strong enough to keep a hold of your opponent in case they go for something very aggressive and you actually spot it. You can micro your units and just hold it. But Firefox has hidden his play 3 times in a row. Everything he did was just so well hidden by his playstyle, his plays, of course. And yeah, just the amount of thinking behind this preparation is actually a little bit more than is actually seen in these games. Of course, you see, yeah, he's just Zergling rushing, GG, won like that, but it's not that easy. I mean, it is that easy, but you have to prepare for it. You have to know exactly what moves to make in what maps, in a particular way. And of course, you cannot just rely on that. You have to have a plan B in case the first rush falls. You have to prepare for some maps in which these kind of plays are just not that good, such as Golden Wall, for example. Even though with Ish on a little bit of a longer maps in which you have an advantage, yes, but as the late game player, such as Eternal Empire, for instance. And that was just not the case in this series. All 3 maps that have been played were very prone to a rush being effective. And Simulacrum, of course, Pain Bass immediately scouted. Exo Striker just decides to forfeit the game. That wasn't probably the best of choices. coming into the next couple games. He could have tried to do that. I think that set his mentality a little bit too behind, but of course, it's not that easy to play against aggression and keep your nerves about it, especially against Firefox. Again, I cannot really stress this enough. Like, Firefox is such a scary player. It's very hard to prepare against him, and he is very hard to adapt midway through a series against him. Most of the times, against very aggressive players such as Firefox, such as Bly, such as Parting, you just have to standardize to a plan of choice and you try to repeat it all games, because if you can repeat it as close as your original plan is, you kind of get an advantage just by playing standard and not taking too many losses. That's how you are supposed to play against these kind of players. But then again, not taking too many losses, like, it's very easy to say it, and it's very hard to actually put it into play. So once again, we're just waiting for for Arrowfire. He's in a ranked game, 12 minutes. It's probably going to be over in just a little bit. The finals are going to be a best of 7 series, so there's still a lot of StarCraft 2 action to come after this game. And well, while we wait, guys, I will very much appreciate it if you could do something for us real quick. I will go onto my screen very quickly to just go over here to the stream, type !Matcherino to bring up the code. Of course, you just have to click on this link, copy this code over here that has been put up by the command !Matcherino. Of course, you can sign in with whichever method you like the most. I don't even know why I do Facebook, but it is just become the standard thing for me to do. And by pasting the coupon code over here, which is in this case AXCOM24, you can click on contribute. Oh my god, I didn't contribute to this. Oh shit. Well, by doing this, you can contribute to the prize pool of the Code S playoffs. Of course, we also have one for the Code A playoffs, but I will do that once we have the Code A finals, which is going to be Geezer Cheese versus NYK or Nick. I never know how to call him. But yeah, if you can take 30 seconds of your time to contribute to the prize pool by using these codes, we will vastly appreciate it. And of course, it is going to be such a boon to these players that try to well, of course, the players put a lot of effort in the preparation of these games, so if you can make their time a little bit more worthier, of course, we will appreciate it, the players will appreciate it even more, and the scene will just benefit from it. But yeah, just had this little bit of a friendly banter with Arrowfire. Asked me if Exit Tracker didn't show up, and well, Exit Tracker did show up, and it wasn't like the longest series I've ever witnessed, to say the least. But yeah, Arrowfire is ready. Well, it's going to be France versus France. Some more Zerg versus Protoss. No, don't say it, Sushi. What do you mean, poor Arrowfire? Arrowfire won versus Firefox in the groups. Just let me check the bracket. Hmm. So... Oh, actually, Exo Striker lost versus Firefox also in the group stage. I didn't remember this. I thought Exo Striker actually was a 6-0. I thought wrong. Who did Exo Striker lose to? Oh, he lost to June. Yeah, sure. Oh, yeah. Of course, he lost to June. Poor Exo. Well, RFI is still 6-0. So... Yeah, I mean, like, after that series, I wouldn't be so confident, but I still think RFI is kind of good into this game. I mean, it's pretty good against aggressive players. I don't know. I mean, this is going to be a rough going. Also, you cannot win with just circling rush in a best of 7, right? You just can't. Am I wrong? I'm not even sure. I mean, what does Circle do? Like Nidus, Proxy Hatch Spines, Hatch Block Nexus, Swarmos, even Swarmos, like it's not even a rush. Like there are a lot of counters to it. Like Baneling Bust ish. I don't know. I just don't know. Like, yeah, he could do a lot of things that are very aggressive to win the series in an incredible little amount of time. But can he? Well, I guess we will see in just a little bit. I mean, it has been a rough series for Exo Striker. I also remember um the group stage series. Now that I think about it, and it was a rough series as well. It wasn't this one-sided for Firefox. It wasn't this one-sided for Firefox, of course, but it was still. I think I remember like one of the games that was like a very aggressive rush from Firefox that Exo Striker really had well, and then Firefox was able to finish the game with Mutas, and that was just a rough moment for Exo Striker as well. But all of the other games were very close. I'd say that the victory from Exo Striker was a proxy, if I remember well, and I think it was very one-sided. But I could be remembering wrong. Like, it has been quite a long time since we've casted those series. You can still check the bracket on Wikipedia. You can find the VODs over there for all of the matches. And overall, it has been such a great tournament that I suggest you to take a look at some of those games. Some of them were incredibly high level played, while some of them were not really super balanced in the way players go. Of course, it's going to be 2 groups of 6 players each, so it's never going to be of 7 players each. Sorry, it's never going to be the most easy time for a couple of those players. But we have seen some very good StarCraft 2 matches. Of course, we are sorry for June and Token, who actually had to forfeit the whole tournament. I think also Damrud had to forfeit the tournament. But overall, I feel like this has been such a great Alpha Apprentice. Third edition, we're going to have a different winner again. First season, it was Asuna winning it all. Second season was instead Token. while first season it is either going to be Firefox, first time player here, or Arrowfire, our youngest player in the bunch. To maybe try and win his first Alpha X Apprentice at the 3rd edition. So we are ready to go. Eternal Empire is going to be our first map for this best of 7 finals. And let's see who's going to come out on top. I'm very excited. Sushi said poor Arrowfire is next. But I still think we're going to see a great series, very back and forth. Let's check if this is going to be the case or not. Best of 7 spawning in the bottom left hand corner of Eternal Empire. You're looking at the base of the young blue French Protoss. It is Arrowfire. And in the top right hand corner instead is in red, he's also French, and he is Firefox. Arrowfire going for a gateway scout of his own. Once again, Eternal Empire is a little bit of a longer map, so you can't really go for a super aggressive rush without your opponent being able to scout it with just a gateway scout. There is no real need for a pylon scout. Oh, this song is great. Firefox also going for a 16 hatch, 16 gas and 16 pool opener, so not something Arrowfire should be scared of. He's going to put his Nexus down over here in a little bit, followed of course by the Cybernetics core. But Firefox has shown similar play versus Exo Striker, in which he was faking a standard opener, even faking a fur base, and then just hiding a lot of lanes through the map on Nightshade before overwhelming his opponent. And this could happen very much again if Arrowfire is not careful with his probe scout. Of course, keeping a probe over there, it's a clever move. This drone is checking for a scout before going to mine some more minerals. And also fur base is going to be taken by Firefox. And we also see double queen, more drones coming. Firefox isn't really looking for anything too crazy this game, checking for proxy out of his opponent. None of these kind of cheeky plays will come. Arrowfire is making a Stargate in quite of an odd position, of course, over here. This could be a very clever play, since it could be kept hidden if this Stalker is able to stop the Overlord from scouting. I don't think this is going to be the case. Firefox is going to see it with the Overlord pattern. The Stalker will be there, but I don't think he will kill the Overlord quick enough for it to be of any use. Of course, his Oracle will be up before the Overlord will actually be able to see it. I'm interested about, okay, the Oracle is sent through the map directly. The Overlord will see it. We have a Fur Queen in production for Firefox, so he is going to have what it takes. He's going to see the Oracle right now. Very important scouting out of the Zerg player. These links are also being kept in position to block any kind of aggression from coming too early, and also to check for the timing in which his opponent is going to send anything its way. This Oracle is going directly for the main. He's not going to lose time in the natural. There is going to be a Spore Crawler and a Queen over here. I don't think this Oracle can do much. He will just fly away immediately. But Arrowfire is not committing into Stargate play. at all. We see a Twilight Council and the robot being dropped by the young French player. Oracle will try to get a drone over here. Another Revelation being dropped. Pulsar Beam being activated without actually being able to get a single drone kill. This wall is quite weird, isn't it? More deaths being made over here by Arrowfire, who wants to keep his third base up in case Firefox comes through the map with a lot of lanes. Also see a Warp Prism and Templar Archive. Arrowfire is one of those Protoss players who doesn't really like going into Robobay play before having his Storm done. So we're going to see High Templars in a Warp Prism as the way for Arrowfire to actually get some AoE damage. Storm not yet started. A little bit surprised. We are going to see an Arcane drop coming from the Protoss player. Of course, Forge being dropped down after the Nexus. But Firefox is starting to make units. 6 Roaches almost done. He's going to have some defensive option. And Arrowfire will have Team Micro against the Queens. There is already one over here. Archons trying to get some damage on top of the Lings. A couple of them actually die. But the Warp Prism will just get away. Get a scouting on his third base. And the Oracle was also trying to get some more damage. Queens will be able to keep it at bay, as well as the Roaches. Over here, of course, nothing really much happened in favor of Arrowfire besides some scouting, but Firefox is going for the long game here on Eternal Empire. More Roaches on the way. The Constitutional Goliath, aka Roach Speed, is on the way, as well as Charge. +1 ground weapons for the Protoss player, and the first couple Immortals will be streaming through this robotics facility. Still no sign of Storm for Arrowfire, who's trying to get up his production as quick as possible. Revelation being dropped on the main army of Firefox to keep track of it. Creep spread is starting to look somewhat interesting, and a couple of Roaches and Lings will go through the map to gain some control. Archons still trying to get some damage. A Queen will fall. Not much else is happening right now on the map. But the Oracle will finally find its way into the main. I don't see it being of great use. Not even going to drop a Revelation. Dangerously low on health. One more Spore Callers and a Queen will get it down. And this is starting to look rough. A lot of Ravagers and Lings are going through the map. Not even a Baneling Nest is up yet for the Zerg player. But this is a ton of Ravagers. A sudden change of plan for Firefox, who decided to start making a ton of units, and a lot of Lings are going through the map. Of course, the Roaches baited some of these Immortals out. One of them is actually going to fall, or maybe not. He's still going to be free. One Archon has indeed fallen. One of the Immortal as well. Arrowfire trying to do his best to juggle these units back and forth to keep them alive, but a spy play is also going to be the follow-up for Firefox. Arrowfire doesn't have what it takes to keep these units at bay without pulling the probes, but so many workers are going to die for this. Lings are trying to suicide basically by attacking those zealots in the choke point, but they bait them out, and the Warp Prism has to do even more work. Those Ravagers and Roaches are just not dying. This Warp Prism kept Archons and Immortals alive for such a long time, but 22 probes down. Firefox is still ahead on workers. He's still one base ahead. He has a Spire play on the way, and right now the way into the main base is open. These Lings are sneaking through. A lot of them are going to get here in the main base of Firefox. They still have to fight a couple Zealots before being able to get on top of the probes. These Zealots have +1 ground weapons and charge. Arrowfire will hold for the time being with quite a powerful army as well. Firefox is preparing some defenses in case his opponent decides to go for a counter-attack. But the Spire play is starting to look quite scary over here. Alex Striker. That game is longer than my whole best to fly series. Yes, it was, my friend. I'm sorry you had to go through that. I'm very sorry. I hope you had fun in the tournament overall, nonetheless. The Spire play is coming into effect, but there are already quite a ton of Archons in play. We don't have Storm yet, so this is not going to be a stomp from Arrowfire. These Mutas uncontested on the other side of the map, more workers. A total of 28 have fallen this far for Arrowfire. More will fall, but how do you ult this? The choke point is there, but these Archons can deal splash damage with Storm. This would have been a disastrous engagement for Firefox, but without Storm being up, recall needs to be issued, and these Mutas are just getting more and more damage before heading away. Oh well, they won't. It looks like there's still a Phoenix over here. The Stargate is paying off for Arrowfire. This Phoenix will be able to and definitely chase down these Mutas, but 14 probes have fallen. Firefox 10 workers ahead, 1 base ahead, and more units streaming through the map. 3 High Templars, juicy targets. These roaches are going to be fighting not the best of spots. Immortals eating quite a few corrosive biles, but over here the army of Arrowfire is looking so much stronger than the one of Firefox. The Mutas are doing extraordinaries before falling down. 20 workers have been killed, but how do you hold the counter attack from Arrowfire right now? Firefox retreating to its base, killing a couple more zealots before heading back, making more Ravagers as well, but this is looking rough for the Zerg player. So many mortals, a couple Archons as well. There are already a bunch of Ravagers out. The production value is coming into play for Firefox. The 4th base is making some work, as well as the superior economy. But what can Arrowfire do against this? Plus 2 ground weapons looks like a good choice. He needs to bait his opponent into a bad engagement. Meanwhile, Firefox still has quite a bunch of vision over here. Pretty much uncontested. Also going to send a couple of roaches through the map to maybe try and get some damage and more scouting information. Baneling finally out. Baneling Nest, of course. Robotics facility number 2. Without a Robo Bay, it's actually an interesting play. Many more Immortals are going to be the play out of Arrowfire. These roaches are going to waddle into their deaths, but not before getting a full scouting of the army of his opponent. Baneling speed almost done. These Banelings will start to roll in a little bit. Here they are, and so many Ravagers. This is an insanely intense gas heavy army. This is so much Vespin. It is now or never. Firefox is maxed out. He wants to keep fighting at these terms. He wants a fight that he can only win. He's trying to blindside the army of Firefox into a surround over here. A lot of the army has been baited on the other side. Immortals are quite exposed, but good force fields will keep the army of Firefox at bay for a little while longer. More scouting out of Firefox, but it looks like the Protoss player had the perfect moves thanks to these Phoenixes. Getting full scout on the army of Firefox, who's just not working perfectly right now. Finally a concave gets issued, but the Banelings basically were worthless in this fight. Only Ravagers and Roaches right now fighting. The Ravagers are doing some work. Biles raining down on the Immortals, and the army of Arrowfire doesn't look that strong anymore. But still, Immortals, what a great unit they are. Many Roaches will fall right here. Not at a little cost from Arrowfire, but the bank was there for Arrowfire. He cannot really replace the loss in gas. He cannot really replace his army super quickly. But he's almost 200, almost maxed out again with a hive on the way. And right now, Firefox is looking to waste more of Arrow Fire supply. And here comes another engagement. Archon falling down, Immortal falling down, one more Immortal will die. A lot of Ravagers and Roaches are dying as well, but the Warp Prism is still keeping a lot of Immortals alive. The army of Firefox is streaming through the map, and Arrow Fire cannot stand in much anymore. Creep Spread is at its doorstep, and right now, many Immortals have been defeated in just a single fight. Phoenixes can help with a couple good lifts. But this is already looking rough. Right here, more corrosive piles are going to be raining down on Archons, readily being lifted by the Warp Prism. The fight still keeps on happening. Lings are trying to get surrounded on top of the Immortals. One of them will fall, one of the Archon have fallen as well. And Arrow Fire needs to tap out. Firefox gets game 1 of these finals. Well, if Firefox is able to win also the longer games, this is going to be a rough series for Arrow Fire. It needs to make it work a little bit different than he has this far in this first game, because Firefox can always go for a very aggressive early game play style, and Arrow Fire needs to respect it. But Firefox was also looking extremely scary with just Roach, Ravager, Ling, and Banes. Mostly just Ravagers, really. So, Firefox still a clever player. Still very much on top of his micro. And Arrow Fire needs to make something happen. Spawning in the top left hand corner of Simulacrum, we have the red French Zerg. He is Firefox. And in the bottom right hand corner instead, you're looking at the base of the blue Protoss player, young and good. It is Arrow Fire. What is our Firefox play? Is going to be an Arch first again. Once again, I mean, Arrow Fire and Firefox are quite friends. They play a lot against each other, I think. And it could also very much mean that Firefox doesn't really want to go too much aggressive on his opponent, because he knows he will probably expect it. Maybe he knows better than me. Maybe he knows that Arrow Fire is better holding his early game rushes. Who knows? What we know is that Firefox has gone for an Archcast pool opener again, and that Arrow Fire will just chill with a Gateway Expand as well. So Firefox is going to try and keep this probe at bay, and we see again the just one queen opener. He's not even going to fake a second queen over here in the natural, and he's rallying links through the map in a little bit of a hidden pattern. Yes, still going to be kept out of field view for Arrow Fire, but he's sending units through the map. He's also faking a third. I think that is pretty interesting. This probe will be chased down while Firefox is hiding the rest of his links. Arrow Fire does know there is not a second queen in the natural. He's probably a little bit surprised of this. This probe is almost going to get vision of the other links. He's actually going to see them. He's actually going to see the rest of the links going through the map. Firefox has been a little bit too eager of sending those units through. This is probably going to be a full wall of coming out of Arrow Fire. Not a full wall of Robo in the wall, but the units are not prepared. The links are going through. They're going to get on top of the Stalker, going to get on top of the probes, and going to get on top of the pylon as well, because why not? The links are going through. Link speed is down, Billing Nest is on the way, and GG needs to be called. Firefox getting the second victory of this series. I will call this just a signature play, taking so many things into just an old-styled Link Rush, and that's always something you have to take into account against Firefox. And as if I were Arrowfire, I wouldn't be very happy without these games have gone this far. The players are ready, at least Arrowfire is. So we have the rest of the maps. Third one, of course, the one we're playing right now is going to be Everdream, 4th Nightshade, 5th Purity in Industry, and 6th is going to be instead Golden Wall. Let's see if we are about to get this many games, because Firefox is looking to end this series as quick as he can possibly do. We're on Everdream. We're in the top right hand side, looking at the base of the blue Protoss player. Hailing from France, of course, playing for Alpha X, he is Arrowfire. This guy over here. Oh, how do I even start? Let's just say he's red, he's Zerg, he's French as well. He's aggressive, he's 2 points ahead, he's starting with a 12 pool, and he is Firefox. Well, I said this, guys. What are the implications of this 12 pool? Arrowfire is going again for a Gateway Scout. He's not really committing to a Pylon Scout yet into this series. I think this is overall a bold choice. He's going to see there is no natural. He's going to be a little preoccupied about this. He's going to probably be dropping a cybernetic score before the Nexus. He's still trying to block it, but he knows it is a 12 pool play without gas. This is not the most committed of early game plays. A second gateway is indeed very committed. Also, this wall it is defending the cybernetic score, but it's not the greatest wall I've ever seen. Oh my god, this is not what I was expecting. This is very committed. The probe has been killed. Oh my god. What is even this guy? What he is? He's a monster. Oh my god. Will this work? I have no clue. Will this work? The Zealot, oh my god! Mineral Walk came through the wall. The Zealot will fall basically instantly to just a couple drones. Mineral Walk cannot go further than this, but this one gateway over here is going to fall, and Arrowfire cannot really wall off behind it. He needs to put up a pylon over here. He's not doing it. There is one Zealot, and the pylon gets issued immediately after that. Firefox is making as many units as he can. This pylon over here is under attack, as well as the others. Arrowfire is making one Adept. This Adept is super important right now for Arrowfire, and I think this is going to be an ult, forcing more structures, of course, but this gateway, oh, the drones are through. The probes need to be called into the fight. The Adept is, of course, the next big thing to be killed by Firefox, and I'm not even super sure you can do this. The links are through as well. Right now, the Adept gets the runner. There is a shield battery. There are 2 shield batteries helping with the fight. Arrowfire is doing this. Firefox is finally dropping his first map of the series. Arrowfire perfect ult by the young French Protoss. GG gets gold. And finally, Firefox falls. Arrowfire gets game number 3 of this best of 7 series. Oh, this was an interesting game. We're going to go on Nightshade for game number 4. The players are ready. Let's get into game number 4. Arafire looking at a chance to even the score after a pretty good hold. And Nightshade is as good as a map as any to do this. Aggression, it's not that easy to pull off over here. And the build he did against Exo Striker was already done in this series by Firefox. So let's see what he's about to do. Oh, what is this? How do I take this off? I have no clue how to take this off. Oh, finally. Spawning in the bottom right hand corner, we have our blue Protoss player. It is Arrowfire. What was that bar, by the way? Spawning in the top left hand corner. You're looking at the base of the red Zerg. He's not pulling the feet off of the throttle. It is Firefox. So is he doing the same build again? Oh no. Hatch block. Here it comes. What are you going to do, Arrowfire? Pulling 4 probes and a zealot. That's the correct amount of things you need to pull to make sure this actually falls before anything can... Oh, actually he's going to let that finish. That's another pretty clever play coming from Firefox, from Arrowfire. He's going to let that finish and he's just going to keep the zealots walled off behind this. So it means that Firefox basically needs to attack the gateway, but it still means that Arrowfire can just wall off indefinitely and have a gateway and a cybernetic score be up before anything can really happen. I don't think there is going to be a lot of production coming from these archery, maybe a couple links, but shield batteries are already through. And Firefox is super committed into this, is going to let these archery finish, but these links are already through. And this could already be quite a disaster. The Zealot gets surrounded. Arrowfire had quite an interesting choice over here of letting this actually go through, but Firefox is just going to exploit it. There is a 1 spine crawler being dropped, as well as a queen, as well as more production. Shield battery is going to fall, as well as the adept, which is now going to get surrounded, but the shield battery is helping it to stay alive. I think the shield battery will help, not indefinitely. The pylons are falling one after the other. The adept is gone. GG gets gold and Firefox gets game number 3. He's at match point, everybody. What do I even say over here? It was looking like such a clever play coming from Arrowfire. And yet it wasn't. No, I got it right. It was Spirit 5th. Yeah, here on a 5th map, Firefox is at match point. And the last game must have put a dent into the nerves of our young French Protoss player, because after a very clever play, he wasn't quite able to hold what was looking like a perfect hold. Even the small amount of decisions that Firefox needed to make in these scenarios, like link rushes, are very game decision based, because you have to know what to attack and what not, where to place your effort. You cannot just send your units through and be done with it. Not at this level, at least. And Firefox is just having all the perfect choices. in his rushes today. Let's see if he can have one more. The map doesn't really allow it, but we will see. Spawning in the top right hand corner of Purity and Industry, we have our blue Protoss player, young French, of course, Alpha X. It is Arrowfire. And what is not to love about this guy over here on the top left hand side of Purity and Industry? Here on the Purity side, the race that is Purity of Essence, the Zerg, of course, are led by Firefox. Hatch gas pool again coming from Firefox. He probably doesn't want to try and go hyper aggressive this game. That's my bet. I think he wants to keep it an economy game on Purity and Industry, because Zerg is quite in a worse spot than Protoss on this map. Yes, that is true. This is not a good Zerg map. This is actually an incredibly bad Zerg map because bases are so far ahead from one another. But metagaming really has a place in this series, and he's the kind of guy who would play a macro game on Purity and Industry exactly because it is a bad map to play a macro game as a Zerg player. I don't know if that explains it, but it's like 200 IQ play. He's doing this because his opponent doesn't expect it. And Firefox is all about my opponent doesn't expect this, so I am about to do this. That's how he plays basically every single series. He's going to go for a second queen, and this already screams macro play to me. He's pulling drones off of gas even. He's not really going to go for an aggressive game over here. He's actually probably even trying to expand as quick as possible. I'm curious to see where he's going to expand, because this could very much be this base over here just because it's closer, so you can be a little bit more aggressive. There is one adept through the map for Arrowfire, of course, scouting adept, but I'm already very interested about this game. Of course, as far as our rushes and cheese go, I'm a fan of aggressive play. But when an aggressive player decides to play standard, that's when the magic happens. At least in my opinion. What? What is this? Okay, Firefox is making an archery here in the bottom left hand corner where there is a golden base. Roach Warren on the way, a lot of drones on the way as well. We don't see Anidas connecting this base, so he's just going to send drones over here. There is a Darkshrine play coming from Arrowfire, and is this going to be just a stream of roaches? Because I think this is. There is no actual reason to get that golden base if you don't want to make a lot of units very quickly. Firefox is also not really going to scout the Darkshrine either, which is done right now, and he wants to... Actually, Arrowfire wants to warp in the main of Firefox. This is already looking interesting. There is one Spore Crawler over there. There is going to be one in the natural, and there is going to be quite a lot of queens to help with defense. The bases are connected by creep. Firefox was just out of range. I think he saw the glimmer of these Dark Templars. It's going to be 4 of them, and of course the War Prism is not going to be the main threat to these queens. The Dark Templars are trying to get the most damage done as possible. Roaches need to stay here next to the Spore Crawlers. Of course, these Dark Templars are not faring well next to those. Roaches split in between those bases RFI needs to deal way more damage than this. I think he wants to go far and clear of these queens and roaches to morph some archons and start making some more damage. I think this is the play for RFI because he cannot beat the army of roaches with and an overseer with just 4 Dark Templars. Meanwhile, Firefox in the bottom left is starting to saturate in this base, and this base over here already has a queen to inject and start making more drones and more drones and more drones and start pumping out tons of roaches. Firefox is so rich in minerals. He has 700 minerals more of income compared to his opponent with the same amount of bases, and actually just 5 workers more. Golden bases are crazy, and Purity and Industry is such a good map for crazy play, and Firefox is definitely what you will call a crazy player. RFI doesn't yet see the map in the bottom left hand corner. He sees that Firefox is now expanding to a fur base. He's gotta be at least a little bit preoccupied about what is going on. He's not going to send units over here yet. He's killing down the overlords spread left and right in his bases, but the army of Firefox is growing by the minute. He can just add on whatever he wants. He can make a ton of overlords if he wants to. So Firefox breaking down those rocks, of course, good choice as the third player. RFI is already going through the map. Bellinas is not yet done. A lot of roaches are on the way. Firefox doesn't really have a powerful army, but RFI wants to commit on the fur base, it looks like. And Firefox can just buy some time, and for Fairy's base, he doesn't really need it to hold. He can just let it go. It's not looking like Firefox wants to let this go. There is just one immortal. Force fields are quite good, but these Ravagers will break them down and let the roaches retreat to a better spot where they can fight only zealots. One drone also put into the fight. This base is going to fall. There are 2 immortals out right now. Ravagers are battling down the army. There are no more force fields, but there is a lot of units out for RFI, who's taking this base out, and he's taking this as a victory. He doesn't really know that this victory is not doing much for him in terms of income, because the income of Firefox is still crazy high right now. But RFI has been able to actually even it out, but he has more workers than his opponent, and he's still collecting far less gas. This base is still going to be quite the focus for RFI. Firefox just faking to give a damn about this base, really, because he's just making a ton of units right now. He's not really looking to make more workers because his economy is as strong as it gets thanks to the golden base. One immortal almost falls down. Firefox also going to send some units through the map already. There is already a bunch of them coming from this side. RFI may be a little bit off position. Of course, this I think it's a Chiasma over there. Doesn't enable Firefox to get a perfect fight. RFI doesn't really have a clue there is this powerful of an army at his doorstep. But Firefox is not maxed out either. These Banelings are not fast yet. And here it comes the fight. Banelings are going to get connections on the Zealots, yes, but not enough of them. More of these roaches are not going to get good concaves. Finally, those Banelings start rolling, but they're rolling into Archons. That's not what you want. No more force fields for RFI. These sentries are out of juice. This is a bunch of roaches, not a bunch of Ravagers as the other gains, but Firefox wants to overwhelm his opponent again. Immortals and Archons are falling left and right. Firefox is looking like he wants to do this. There is still a bunch of Immortals. Creative War Prison falls down, and this is the disaster call for RFI. There are 2 Dark Templars helping with the hold. There is one Overseer morphing though, and here comes the Overseer to save the day. RFI loses his fur base. There is just 2 Immortals holding off the wall, but the wall is open. Force fields bait some of the units in, but the lanes are getting on top of the Immortals. One of them almost falls down. The choke point is there, but is this choke point enough to keep Firefox at bay? Are the force fields enough to keep the third player from winning this game. He's also getting a 4th base. He's making more and more units. +1 ranged attack. Almost done as well. More Ravagers going through. One of the Dark Templar almost got sniped. He's getting sniped right now. The army of Arafai trying to fight in the choke point. Desperate ult coming out of the Protoss player. One more Warp Prism has to cancel the Warpings to save these Immortals. But what there is to be saved for the Protoss player. His economy is in shambles. He's natural. He's under fire of Ravagers. Firefox tripling the supply of the French young Protoss. And I think he got this. I think we have Alpha X Apprentice number 3 champion. It is going to be Firefox. What is there to say, guys? 2 series. Zerg versus Protoss in under an hour. This guy has done it. He started as a joke. He just started as a joke and then it became reality, guys. Because Firefox was able to speed run Alpha X Apprentice number 3. And he is deservedly so the champion of this tournament. Arafire will be the 2nd place player of the tournament. June will play against Exostriker. Oh, actually, June I think will forfeit Exostriker, a 3rd place match. So we have the top 4 is going to be Firefox 1st place with dropping just 1 map. I don't even know. I think to June actually. I think it dropped 1 map to June. Then 2nd place Arafire, losing only to Firefox in the finals. 3rd place Exostriker, great player. Sadly wasn't quite able to stop the aggression of the French champion over here. And 4th place June, who was sadly looking as one of the strongest players of the whole tournament and wasn't able to play in this code as playoffs. But yeah, we have our champion. We have had 2 interesting series to say the least, and with a clever play and strong rushes, Firefox was able to deal the finishing blow to its opponent. I'm just going to look for someone to host because, okay, Vindicta, of course, because this has been everything for today's stream. And thank you very much. Oh my god, why do I always put the exclamation mark? Jesus. Yeah, I just used the exclamation mark for no point at all. Anyway, we're ready for raiding Vindicta. It's another great StarCraft 2 players. Terran player. Of course, Alpha X player. I think you know him. I think he might be happy to have a couple of you at his stream. But thank you everybody for playing Alpha X Apprentice, for looking at Alpha X Apprentice. Thank you to the players for being this great into these couple series we had. And of course, I'm super grateful to Danatory for being a great admin, to Cynical Death for being our great Liquipedia guy. Of course, my not co-caster really, we never casted together, but the other caster of the tournament. Of course, I'm talking about Renegade, to Sushi, the owner manager of the team. And thanks to everybody for accompanying us into this journey. Alpha X Apprentice will be back. But for now, guys, until next time, say hello to Vindicta from me.